are preparing to pardon Derek Chauvin.
Well, that's inaccurate, but let's hear the rest of the video.
Multiple sources are now reporting that Minnesota state leaders, including some representatives and members of the pardon board, are now preparing to officially pardon former officer Derek Chauvin.
There is so much factual inaccuracy in just that one statement, but I want you to look at the facts, shall we? Now, former police officer Derek Chauvin was sentenced to 20 years in prison on federal charges of violating George Floyd's civil rights. But what you need to understand is that Derek Chauvin had already been sentenced to 22 and a half years by a Minnesota state court for violating Minnesota state law for the very same facts. And the two sentences are running concurrently, which means that Chauvin is serving both prison sentences at the same time. And where the rumor mill started is when some people on the right started to try to convince the president of the United States to pardon Derek Chauvin. But here's the rub, and this is where I think a lot of people are getting confused. The president's pardon authority is limited to federal charges and federal sentences. This means that even if the president, and it's a huge if at this point, but even if the president decided to pardon Chauvin, that pardon would wipe out the federal sentence, but keep the state sentence of 22 and a half years of prison in perfect place. And under Minnesota state law, that state sentence could only be wiped out through a pardon by the governor of Minnesota, along with at least one vote from the two other members of the state board of pardons, which is made of the governor, the attorney general, and the Chief Justice of the Minnesota Supreme Court. Oh, and even if the governor and another member of the board decided to pardon Chauvin, that request would still need to go through the Clemency Review Commission. But all of this is a non-starter because Tim Walz has already clearly stated that Derek Chauvin should make himself comfortable because he has no intention of pardoning him. The reason why many people, including Bethany Blake, are confused about what's going on are articles like this one that say that Minnesota state authorities are preparing for a potential Chauvin pardon. But if you read the article instead of just the title, you'd find out that this means that Minnesota state authorities are preparing to move Derek Chauvin, in case of a pardon, from federal prison where he's staying to state prison in Minnesota, where he would serve the rest of his 22 and a half year sentence. So no, Chauvin isn't going to be a free man anytime soon, and for that, society is breathing a sigh of relief.